Tonight, under the gentle glow of the moon, we begin a story of mystery and quiet wonder. The Painted Wall. Long ago, in a quiet village, there lived a young scholar named Zhang. Zhang spent his days among books and scrolls. He loved painting, and he loved walking along the narrow lanes of his village, where the wind whispered through bamboo and the lanterns swayed softly at night. One evening, as the sun dipped behind distant hills, Zhang wandered further than usual. In a narrow alley, hidden between old houses, he noticed a wall. At first, it seemed ordinary, weathered by years of sun and rain. But there was something unusual about it. As he stepped closer, he realized a faint shimmer ran along the wall's surface. And then a painting appeared. It was the image of a woman, graceful and solemn, her robes flowing as if moved by an unseen breeze. Her eyes, deep and sad, seemed to follow him. Zhang shivered, though the evening air was warm. "Who are you?" he whispered, almost without thinking. No answer came, only the soft rustling of leaves above. Night after night, he returned to the wall. The painting changed slowly, almost imperceptibly. Sometimes her lips seemed to move, as if she was trying to speak. Sometimes her hand lifted slightly, a gentle wave or a brush against the air. The villagers began to talk. Some whispered that the wall was haunted. Others said it held a spirit longing to speak. But Zhang could not stop thinking about her. The painting called to him, a quiet, irresistible pull. One evening, he brought his brushes and ink. He sat in front of the wall, attempting to understand, to capture what he felt. He painted alongside her, copying her form, tracing the delicate lines of her robes and the sorrow in her eyes. The air grew colder as he worked, yet he felt warmth inside, a strange, comforting presence. Days passed. The painting became more vivid, more alive. The woman seemed almost real. Sometimes, Zhang swore he saw her move toward him, stepping out from the wall, though when he blinked, she was still a painting. Then one night, a soft knock came at his door. He opened it, but the hallway was empty. On the floor lay a single brush, old yet wet with fresh paint. Zhang's heart raced. The painting, it wanted him to continue, to see its story unfold. That night, he returned to the alley. The moonlight bathed the wall in silver. The woman's eyes seemed brighter, alive with a quiet longing. Zhang whispered again, "I will help you. I will see your story." And with that, he began. Zhang sat before the wall, brush in hand, and watched as the painting seemed to breathe. The woman in the painting raised her hand slowly, pointing toward a small door at the side of the alley he had never noticed before. Curious, Zhang approached the door. It creaked open with a whisper of wind. Inside, the room was small, empty, except for a single scroll lying on a wooden table. Zhang picked it up. The scroll was old, edges frayed, and the ink faded. But as he read, the words seemed to glow softly in the moonlight. It told the story of love and longing. Long ago, a young woman had been trapped by fate, captured in the painting on this very wall. She had been a guardian of secrets, a keeper of stories that could not be spoken aloud. Only a scholar of true heart and patience could understand her tale and free her spirit. Zhang felt a shiver run through him. The woman on the wall, the brush, the scroll. It was all connected. He realized that to help her, he must paint not just what he saw, but what he felt. His own sincerity, his own care and attention. For many nights, Zhang painted. He painted her smile, her sadness, her quiet hope. He painted the moonlight, the whispering wind, the alley, and the shadows. And slowly, the woman's image began to glow with warmth. No longer sad, no longer still. On the 15th night, as the moon hung high, the painting shimmered, and then the wall seemed to ripple like water. The woman stepped out, her feet touching the ground softly. She was no longer a painting, no longer trapped. Her eyes met Zhang's, filled with gratitude and gentle joy. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice like the wind through bamboo. Zhang bowed, feeling a strange peace settle over him. The alley was silent, the wall ordinary once more. But in his heart, the memory of that night would never fade. The villagers never understood what had happened. They only noticed that the old wall looked plain again, and Zhang walked with a quiet smile. Sometimes, when the moonlight was just right, he thought he saw a soft glow from the alley, as if a gentle spirit were watching over him. And so, the painted wall kept its secrets. But Zhang had learned something precious. Some mysteries are not meant to frighten, but to teach patience, care, and the quiet power of the human heart. Under the calm moonlight, the wall waits, and the story, like the wind, whispers softly to anyone who dares to listen. Now, let us turn to another tale, a story of wit, cleverness, and unexpected surprises. The Clever Wife. Long ago, in a bustling village surrounded by hills and rivers, there lived a young man named Li Wei. Li Wei was kind, hard-working, and honest, yet he often found himself caught in tricky situations. Life in the village was full of small puzzles, subtle disputes, and challenges that tested patience and clever thinking. Li Wei loved his home, and he loved his wife, Mei. Mei was gentle, yet quick of mind. She had a quiet laugh, bright eyes, and a clever way of seeing what others often overlooked. Together, they were a team, though many in the village did not know just how wise Mei truly was. One morning, the village head, an old man respected for his fairness, announced a contest. The challenge was unusual. Anyone who could solve a difficult problem of logic and fairness would earn both a reward and the admiration of all villagers. Li Wei listened carefully. Many had tried before, and many had failed. The problem was tricky, full of twists and details designed to confuse even the cleverest minds. Li Wei returned home and shared the news with Mei. He said, "The challenge is difficult. I am not sure I can solve it." Mei smiled softly and said, "Do not worry, my husband. With patience and careful thinking, we can approach it together. Sometimes the solution is not what you see first, but what you notice only when you look slowly and carefully." That evening, by the soft glow of lanterns, Li Wei and Mei sat together. They spread maps, papers, and notes across the table. They spoke quietly, pondering possibilities, imagining each twist, each difficulty. Mei suggested solutions that seemed unusual at first, ideas that turned the problem around in ways Li Wei had never considered. Li Wei began to see the problem differently. It was no longer just a puzzle to solve, but a story of fairness, hidden motives, and careful reasoning. As the night deepened, the flickering candlelight cast shadows across the walls. Li Wei felt a calm determination growing within him. Days passed. Li Wei and Mei rehearsed the logic in many ways, predicting what villagers might say, what the village head might require. Li Wei practiced speaking clearly, explaining his thoughts step by step. Mei reminded him to always think of fairness, to consider everyone's perspective, and to never forget the human heart behind the problem. Finally, the day of the contest arrived. The village square was filled with villagers, curious faces, and murmurs of anticipation. The challenge was presented: a dispute over land boundaries, tricky rules, and conflicting claims. Many clever men and women attempted to solve it, but each explanation left someone dissatisfied. Some solutions were too harsh, others too lenient. No one could please everyone. Li Wei stepped forward quietly, holding his head high but calm. He took a deep breath and remembered Mei's words. Look carefully, think patiently, and speak clearly. The solution lies not only in rules, but in fairness and understanding. He began to speak, explaining the problem in simple, clear steps. He considered each side, weighed each claim, and proposed a solution that balanced fairness with practicality. Slowly, the villagers realized that this solution made sense. It honored both the rules and the people. A murmur of approval began to spread, and the village head nodded thoughtfully. Li Wei paused. He remembered May's quiet smile, her wisdom guiding him. The solution was clever, yet gentle, solving the problem without conflict or resentment. The villagers clapped softly, then louder, as admiration for Li Wei grew. The village head said, "Well done, Li Wei. Your mind is clever, and your heart is fair. And I hear your wife deserves recognition as well, for she guided your thinking with wisdom." Li Wei smiled humbly, glancing at May, who nodded softly. Together, they had turned a difficult challenge into a success. The crowd began to disperse, speaking in excited whispers about the clever solution and the remarkable couple behind it. After the contest, Li Wei and May returned home, the evening sun casting a golden glow over the village. Though the crowd had praised him, Li Wei felt it was May's clever mind that had truly solved the challenge. He looked at her with gratitude and whispered, "Without you, I could not have done it." May smiled softly, her eyes shining with warmth, and said, "We are a team. Cleverness is best shared." Days later, another challenge arose, this time from a visiting merchant. He claimed that the village owed him taxes unfairly, and his words were sharp and demanding. Many villagers were anxious, unsure how to respond. Li Wei's confidence had grown, but he knew that he could not solve this alone. He turned to May, who had already been thinking quietly about a solution. Together, they examined the merchant's claims carefully. May suggested presenting the facts in a clear, logical way, showing both fairness and respect. Li Wei listened, then added his own ideas, small but precise actions that would satisfy both the merchant and the villagers. They practiced their approach, rehearsing each word and gesture until every detail felt right. When the time came, Li Wei spoke calmly and clearly. He explained the village's position, acknowledged the merchant's concerns, and offered a solution that was fair and reasonable. The villagers and the merchant were both impressed. The merchant nodded and smiled, admitting that he had not expected such a clever and thoughtful resolution. The villagers whispered excitedly about May's guidance, praising her wisdom and foresight. Weeks passed, and Li Wei and May became known throughout the village as a pair of clever, fair, and kind-hearted people. Whenever disputes arose, people would seek their advice. Li Wei always spoke modestly, giving credit to May, who often solved the trickiest problems behind the scenes. One evening, as they sat by their lantern-lit home, Li Wei asked, "Do you ever tire of all this cleverness?" May laughed softly. "No, my husband. Cleverness is not just solving puzzles. It is understanding people, being patient, and seeing what others miss. That is the true joy." Li Wei nodded, feeling a deep sense of peace. He realized that life was full of challenges, but with patience, clever thinking, and a kind heart, there was no problem too great to face. And so, in the quiet village, the clever wife and her husband lived each day with wisdom, laughter, and a gentle sense of wonder. Their story became a quiet legend, a tale passed from one generation to the next, a reminder that cleverness paired with kindness can change the world, one small solution at a time. Now, under the calm glow of the moon, we turn to our final tale for this evening, a story of magic, mystery, and the fox spirit. The fox spirit. Long ago, in a village surrounded by misty mountains and whispering forests, there lived a scholar named Wen. Wen was quiet and thoughtful, spending his days reading and wandering the woods near his home. He enjoyed the stillness of nature, the rustle of leaves, and the gentle songs of birds in the morning. One evening, as he walked along a narrow forest path, Wen heard a soft cry, delicate and sorrowful. Following the sound, he discovered a small white fox caught in a hunter's trap. Its eyes were wide and frightened, yet strangely intelligent, as if it understood more than any ordinary fox. Wen approached slowly, speaking in a calm voice. "Do not be afraid. I will help you." With careful hands, Wen freed the fox from the trap. The fox did not run away immediately. Instead, it gazed at him with a quiet intensity, then disappeared into the shadows of the forest. Wen felt a strange warmth in his heart, a sense that this encounter was no ordinary event. Days passed, and Wen could not forget the white fox. He returned to the forest often, hoping to see it again. Sometimes he caught a glimpse of its white fur flickering between the trees, watching him silently. He began to feel that the fox was guiding him, leading him to hidden corners of the woods he had never noticed before. One night, under a silver moon, Win found a clearing with a small pond. The surface of the water shimmered unnaturally, reflecting not only the moon, but shapes that seemed alive. Suddenly, the white fox appeared at the edge of the pond. It transformed before his eyes into a beautiful woman, graceful and calm, her hair flowing like silver threads in the moonlight. Win stepped back, astonished, but the woman smiled gently. "Do not be afraid," she said. "I am a fox spirit, bound to this forest, yet grateful for your kindness." Wen bowed deeply, unable to speak at first, then whispered, "I am honored to meet you." The fox spirit told him that she could only reveal herself to those with a pure heart and gentle mind. She had many stories to tell, lessons of the forest, of nature, and of hidden magic in the world. Win listened intently, fascinated by her wisdom and the quiet, mysterious power she seemed to carry. And so began their unusual friendship, one of trust, magic, and careful understanding. The forest seemed brighter, the night calmer, as Win learned from the fox spirit, and the fox spirit learned of the human world through his gentle heart. Over the following nights, Win continued to visit the forest, guided by the fox spirit. She taught him about the hidden wonders of nature, the way the moonlight could reveal secret paths, the songs of birds that carried messages, and the subtle magic that flowed through the streams and trees. One evening, the fox spirit told Win of a danger that had befallen a nearby village. A severe drought had dried up the rivers, and the villagers were struggling. Though she could not leave the forest for long, she asked Win to help them, sharing her guidance and knowledge. Win listened carefully, understanding the delicate balance of human kindness and natural magic. Together, they devised a plan. Win instructed the villagers to dig small channels, plant trees near the water, and treat the land with care and respect. He shared the fox spirit's wisdom about working with nature, not against it. Slowly, water returned, the crops revived, and the villagers thrived. They whispered in awe about the mysterious scholar who seemed guided by unseen hands. Over time, Win and the fox spirit grew closer. Though she remained bound to the forest, their trust and understanding deepened. She shared her secrets, tales of spirits, lessons of patience, and the quiet power of kindness. Win learned to see the world differently, to notice small wonders, to value wisdom over haste, and to respect the unseen forces around him. One night, under a full silver moon, the fox spirit looked at Win and said softly, You have a pure heart and a gentle mind. Remember that true strength comes not from power, but from understanding and compassion. Win bowed deeply, feeling gratitude fill his heart. He knew he had been forever changed by her guidance. In the years that followed, Win continued his quiet life in the village. He shared what he had learned with others, teaching patience, cleverness, and respect for nature. Sometimes, villagers would glimpse a white fox at the edge of the forest, watching silently, almost smiling. They said it was a spirit of gratitude, a guardian of the woods, keeping a gentle watch over those who walked with care. And so, the fox spirit remained in the forest, her story whispered in the rustle of leaves and the soft glow of moonlight. Win's life was richer, filled with quiet magic and understanding, a living testament to the bond between humans and the unseen wonders of the world. The forest waited patiently, and those who dared to listen could hear its secrets, like a soft wind carrying the tale of a fox spirit and a kind-hearted scholar. And now, dear listener, our tales for tonight have come to an end. Rest well, and let the quiet magic of these stories carry you into sweet dreams. Good night.